Bonjour, mon ami, bienvenue, welcome to the Bar Dad. Today we are talking about the green ferry, the Verte fair, Absinthe. So pull up the chair and we'll talk about it. Be our guest, put our service to the test.
It's the Bar Dad.
Hey folks, welcome to the Bar Dad, Adulting at the Bar. Today we are in front of a live studio audience. Woo! Let's try that again. Today we're in front of a live studio audience.
Woo! Yay!
The multitudes.
Yeah,
the multitude.
I'm feeling the excitement from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my good friend Ron. Ron, thank you for joining the Bar Dad today.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Today, we're talking about
Absinthe.
People are really freaked out by this.
Yes, they are.
They when you talk about absinthe, they're like, it's like some sort of like mythical beverage served in the horn of a unicorn, and are you okay? Is it legal? You know, so we're going to talk all about absinthe today, but I want to share with you why I want to talk about absinthe and why it's part of the Bar Dad. Because again, as you know, the Bar Dad is about educating our viewers and you know, elevating them at the bar. Mm-hmm. And absinthe, you can't get much more elevated than absinthe.
You can't.
At the bar. So my first experience with absinthe was with this man right here, Ron. And we were at a bar in Sanford, Florida, and a real nice bar. And we found out they had absinthe, so we ordered an absinthe. And the guy basically gave us a glass and poured some absinthe in or something. And Ron here's like, oh, no. And he goes, what do you mean? He says, well, you know, you have to make it in the Bohemian style. The guy's like, huh? So Ron basically said, bless your heart, just sit down, let me do it. And he basically taught the bartender how to make a Bohemian absinthe in the Bohemian
Not
style.
that he will ever need to know that again, but
now he's exponentially more cooler than he was before.
if he's ever on Jeopardy and is asked a question about it, he's going to be set.
You could have made his life
That's
just
right.
with that one answer. Now I understand we did consume a great deal amount of absinthe.
We did.
And I will tell you out there that, and if you ask anybody that, and please chime in, that when you drink absinthe, there is drunk, and then there is, I would never know this, high, but somewhere in the middle, somewhere out in left field, down the street, maybe around the corner, is the absinthe effect.
Yes.
It's pretty intense.
It is a very lucid, and I should say this is not my beverage of choice.
No. You have to prepare mentally.
It's good now and then, and I'll tell you how I was introduced to it later, but it's a very lucid drunk. You are...
Oh, wait a minute. We don't really get drunk on the Bar Dad. We drink responsibly. So
Okay.
It's a lucid feeling. You have to be in a safe space.
Yes, you do.
Because people react to it differently and so forth. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but thank you for that.
Well, and thank you, because what I meant to say was...
Yeah, we haven't been drinking it yet.
As you are imbibing responsibly, and you have even more responsibly, you would still be able to say the word responsibly, because it's a different kind of drunk. It's a very lucid kind of experience, and your tongue gets fuzzy and then it gets numb, which is weird.
But you can still stay responsible.
And
so, Ron, tell us about, you are a font of knowledge, right? So, that's a compliment.
I thank you.
So what is this?
It started out as a medicine. The French...
They always do.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. But the French army in the 1840s was looking for something that would cure tropical fevers, because they had their army going out into colonial possessions, and the Peruvians had a lock on the, I think it's pronounced cinchona bark, the stuff that quinine comes from. They had a cartel, and it was really expensive, and the French thought, we can do so much better than that. We're going to take 120 proof spirits, and we're going to dump a whole bunch of healthful botanicals in it And we're going to put in a ton of fennel and
Anise,
thank you, to cover the botanical taste, and we're going to give our soldiers 4 ounces a day of this, and they won't get any fevers. And the
4 ounces a day.
4 ounces a day. And the French soldiers, 120 proof stuff, and the French soldiers said, thank you. And it didn't cure any fevers, but no one cared because it was really tasty stuff to them.
So why is it green?
It is green from the chlorophyll in the wormwood.
Wormwood. Okay, so you've heard about wormwood. In fact, if you
Yes.
read the label, this says with wormwood.
Yes.
So what is wormwood?
Wormwood is a bark from a bush that I don't even know where it grows, but it was considered to be medicinal at the time, and they put it in, and so there's actually chlorophyll released from the bark that makes it green. And I should say wormwood doesn't really do the things that people think it does.
So let me stop you right there, because when people think of absinthe, they literally follow. That's illegal, right? You can't get that in the United States.
It was.
So can you walk us through why this had because it's not illegal now.
No, it's not.
So why did this get the reputation that it got?
Because everybody in France was drinking absinthe from like 1840 to 1865. It was the soldiers brought home their taste for it. They convinced their friends to drink it, and so 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock in France was called the green hour.
Because everybody was
drinking absinthe, and
it's kind of like the Budweiser share of beer in the United States.
Exactly, and it was very egalitarian. Dock workers and prostitutes were drinking it, and Emperor Napoleon III was drinking absinthe. And the dock workers were drinking it straight, and the wealthy people started embellishing it. They felt that if you introduce sugar, that it will catalyze some of the ingredients in there, and it will make the effect a little stronger. And because there is an effect to absinthe, it does do what we were talking about. And so they felt that introducing sugar would catalyze that and make it stronger. And then they thought, ooh, if you add cold water, it turns milky and green, and it's really cool.
And that's when you start hearing talking foxes telling you about your future.
Oh, exactly. And French people were thinking, oh my goodness, I was just talking to my dead grandmother and this guy that said his name was Elvis, and he's going to be born in 100 years. No.
That was funny. Now, have you ever tasted this straight?
I have.
All right, I'm going in. So, it does.
I'll cover you.
Save space. So it does have that anise kind of hint to it that like a sambuca or a ouzo would have, but it's not as overpowering, right?
Right.
And it does have the sharp edge of being stringent, so it has that alcohol.
There's a lot of other things going on.
All right. Okay. Wow. It does make your tongue numb, which is like if you've ever eaten like chloroseptic.
Yes.
It makes your tongue. It literally immediately goes numb, and then it's the strong hit of the stringency, and then there's this kind of smooth, minty, anisey kind of thing at the end of it. It's actually pretty good. I'm not saying a talking fox yet. Oh, and my cockles are thusly warmed.
Yeah, it's really more of a winter drink than a summer drink.
So speaking of drink, let's make some.
Okay.
So we're really excited because Ron mentioned to me, and we were talking about the history of absinthe and the preparation. And I prefer the method you showed at the bar, but you also told me there was another like more original method.
Yes.
And there's a story behind the other one too. So
yes,
I'm going to turn the mic over to you and talk us through what we're doing.
Okay, the original way of doing absinthe was if you had ordered absinthe in a French cafe, the waiter would have brought you a glass with absinthe in the bottom.
Are we good on the measurements? We just kind of pour in there however much you want, or is there a recommended dosage?
That is a French deciliter.
Okay. 1 French deciliter of absinthe, okay?
Absolutely. About that much of absinthe. And they would have brought this to the table. There would have been the absinthe. They would have had a container of chilled water. They would have brought sugar cubes. I suppose they would have brought tongs because being French, they would have been civilized. And the sugar cube would go on top of.
Yes.
Now, well, I'm going to take it off with these tongs because I don't want to be uncivilized. I have to point out the spoon. Absinthe spoons are very ornate. And the reason for that is that, as I said, nothing engenders a ritual like an addiction.
Hashtag that.
But think, growing up, the hardcore smokers, you pull out the cigarette, wrap it against the watch face 3 times, flip it around, you have a special move to open the Zippo.
That's true.
Growing up in the Midwest, the cowboys would have a certain way to open the snuff can, knock a certain number of times to get it off. You open it with one hand, and this isn't any different.
Wow.
I mean, basically, your drug of choice, whether it's a certain kind of alcohol or nicotine or whatever, is you need special things for it.
So the spoon is ornate, but it definitely has to be slotted, and we'll show you why.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen them giant, I've seen them small, made of different materials, gold,
Yes.
I've seen, and it usually is made to fit just right over the opening of a glass.
And
like
it has the little notch there to go over the side of the glass. And then the sugar cube would go on top. And then the server would have brought a carafe of chilled water. And what you would do, and I like this better because we can do it slowly, you would have ever so slowly trickled the water over the sugar cube. And how quickly you did it would probably be determined by how badly you wanted to drink.
Well, we this is supposed to be less than a 15-minute episode, so it's working.
Yes, it is.
Now, would you do it like all the way down? The sugar cube's got to be completely dissolved, or
The sugar cube has to be completely dissolved, and that's when you stop adding the water. And so you aren't supposed to poke at the sugar cube. I'm being.
It's not as sexy as you showed it before.
I am being a barbarian, not a bohemian. But in the interest of time.
So if you take a look at the liquid too, it's becoming that louche we talked
Yes,
about in
it
the
is.
Ouzo
It's
episode.
becoming milky.
And why again does it louche like that?
Because the oils from the anise and the fennel are happy to be suspended in the alcohol, but when you add the cold water, they can't remain there anymore, and they separate out. And I think that's enough.
That's enough, okay. And then you just tip over the rest into the glass,
Yes.
and you stir it, right?
And then you drink it.
I will.
Bon appetit. And in reality, that would have taken about 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, because you talk about the water, right?
Yes.
And I've seen these amazing urns. Oh, so you're talking about the water. I've seen pictures of these just amazing ice urns.
Yes.
With ice that very ornate and oriental looking and just very fancy. And then they would literally just drip. Some of them had like 4 or 5 spouts around it, and they would just put the glasses and just.
They would put that
Chinese
in the center
water
of
torture
the
on
table,
the.
and each drinker then could control the drip, and you could either set it for a trickle or you could set it for a very slow drip, and you could sit there and talk to your friends while it dripped through. And so your next drink could be preparing while you were consuming this one.
I love it. My friend, enchanté. See, it's light, it's sweet, you've still got the tinge of anise in it. Your tongue just still feels coated on that.
And I should say there's no added sugar in absinthe. That sweetness is all coming from the fennel and the anise.
So, we just learned, and by the way, audience, how was the French version of the absinthe.
Very good.
Let's hear it. All right. So the French version was very good, very refined. And now we're going to make the Bohemian or the Czechoslovakian version.
Yes.
And what's the big difference between the French and Bohemian ways of making absinthe?
Fire.
Fire. So fire is the big difference. So how did this version come about?
Well, and this is actually the way that I learned, but the Czechs, fell in love with absinthe, and so did the Spanish and the Portuguese, but they just drank it straight, the way the poorer French people did. But the Czechs determined, rightly or wrongly, that burning the sugar and caramelizing it would catalyze the botanicals in a more efficient manner, and it would take you to a whole different level when you drank it.
You would see a whole herd of speaking foxes.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
And plus, it's cool.
It is cool.
And I should say that the French think this is barbaric.
Well, the French think everything's barbaric.
Yeah,
but fire is cool. And if I think you mentioned before, if you're sitting in a bar and you've got a little glasses in your spoon or whatever, and all of a sudden you light shit on fire, people are like, "Whoa, this is like the coolest person in the room."
The person,
which is a big goal of people watching the Bar Dad. You want to be cool,
yes.
right? Nothing says adult than playing with fire.
No, it's.
All right, my friend, let's get started. So what do we start? What different do we need?
Well, you would first start out with the French deciliter of absinthe. There, exactly.
How about just another tenth of a deciliter? That's good.
Okay.
That's perfect. Okay.
And then you would take a spoonful of the absinthe and balance it on top of the glass.
Of a normal
spoon?
Spoon.
Any spoon.
Okay.
Big spoon. If it'll balance on the glass, it's right. And you let the spoon wick up the absinthe, and then you light it.
Fire.
Get your face closer.
Ooh, wow. Nope, it didn't look. Is it lit?
You're
Oh
burning.
yeah, it's burning.
You're
Look at
burning.
it. Can you get real close in here because you can see it bubbling and look at that. That is so cool.
And the person that taught me this always said that the muses are drawn to the flame and they're among us when we drink
Like flies.
absinthe. Yes.
Okay.
Only you don't have to swat them. And you just let it burn. Okay, we are dripping in and we are burning on the bottom.
Okay, so what do we do?
Well, the glass is not hot.
Okay.
And I should point out that some people will...
Can I dump it in and stir?
Sure, if you want.
Oh!
No, now we're going to do it the other way.
And then
where
put it
we
up.
take the cold water and just dump it in.
Look
and
at
put
that.
It out.
So instead of doing the drip to put out the fire, by the way, if you take a spoonful of liquor and pour it into a flaming glass of liquor, it gets to be a bigger flame full of more liquor. So you need to know that. That's really important. Are my eyebrows still here?
Okay.
Maybe it's the caramelized sugar or when it activating some shit inside the absinthe, but this thing tastes a little better.
And that's the way I'm used to drinking it, but I have tried it the other way, and I always thought it tasted the same, but...
And then I always like when they serve it and they flame it.
There you go.
And they show that it lights up green. Look at that. It is green. It isn't the most appetizing color.
No, but...
No. I'm going to reveal the secret of the Bar Dad is you watch the whole thing. Because we get funnier and a little more responsibly towards the end.
This is true.
This is true. Cheers, right?
All right. To me.
Ron, thank you so much, my brother, for joining me today. I always learn so very much from you. You are a learned...
More than you care to.
Learned man, normally, but I appreciate that. Thank you. And you have, I always like introducing people on the Bar Dad that introduced me to various things. You got me hooked on absinthe. No, you introduced me to absinthe, and it's very refined. I love the process. And it is a very cool kind of thing going on, right? So again, ladies and gentlemen, try everything, but always try it responsibly. If you've never done this before, you need to preferably do it with somebody that maybe has done it before, has had it before, and always find a safe space where you're obviously not driving and you're not going to wander around in a field with or by electrical fences or with sharp objects or anything.
Large animals
that can harm you.
I'm
So
from Iowa then.
find us on YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at The Bar Dad. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, please email us at thebardad@gmail.com. My friend, thank you again. Appreciate that. And remember, Bar Dad folks, always keep your friends close and your les vert faire closer. Au revoir. Cheers. So, what do you think, man?
Okay, so like our universe could just be an atom in like some other being's fingernail, and like an atom in my fingernail could be a whole other universe?
Totally.
Keep your friends close and your scotch closer. It's the Bar Dad.